I was drawn to serve on the planning board as basically a sense of volunteering, not a sense of politics at all. I still feel that way, although I know that's probably somewhat delusional at this point. I look at it as just a way I can give back to the community. I get a lot from our town and from our country, really. I feel it's my duty to give back as I can. We have a great role at giving power back to people, especially with what they do with their own property and their own future. And we were sidetracked for quite a while. When I joined the planning board, it was incredibly boring, yet incredibly efficient and effective. And I've been working awfully hard to get us back there. I am very hopeful that we will be getting there in the next year.
Thank you. The first question for our planning board candidates will go to Kevin Grant to answer first, and we picked the first responder randomly, and then we'll just follow through alphabetically from there. What are the responsibilities of the Fairhaven Planning Board? Why are you seeking that position, and what knowledge or skills do you bring to the board? Mr. Grant.
So we're in charge of writing and interpreting bylaws. We're in charge of questions involving land use. Sometimes if someone has a proposal for their land that may not quite fit in with the bylaws as they're written, they'll come to us and explain why, looking for a waiver. And we help applicants get their project within those bylaws so it becomes something that can go forward. It's super important, especially because we're in an issue now with our tax revenue where those decisions carry a lot of weight. This can decide whether or not someone can subdivide their land and sell it, whether or not they have one buildable lot or two buildable lots. Those things have a huge impact on a household's income and on the tax revenue for the town. We also do a lot of work with zoning and zoning overlays. So we have a huge role in where businesses can go and what those types of businesses are. Oh, okay, 1 minute.
It's up to you. You want to stop? You're welcome.
I really enjoy that part of it, and we have a lot of work to do, but a lot of what I consider to be low-hanging fruit right now. I think we can really rally together, especially when it comes to things like setbacks and frontage requirements for homeowners, where if we work with the safety officials in town to minimize those as much as we can, it can give people a lot of options, especially older people who may have needed a big piece of land when they had kids, and now the size of that land is actually kind of a burden to maintain. They can subdivide that now, put a rental property on it, or sell it off. All of those transactions generate income and tax revenue.
Thank you, Kevin. If elected, what do you hope to accomplish during your term on the planning board? And finally, same question for you, Kevin.
So I'm looking forward to basically what I would say is a kind of four-pronged attack for things that I would like to accomplish, and I think the board should accomplish. One is an ongoing effort that we've had with zoning and rezoning, where we can increase the amount of mixed-use zoning throughout the town, and even include some mixed-use overlays in areas where they're traditionally strictly residential, but maybe you could allow small businesses out of your home, such as if you're an accountant or a therapist or an upholsterer or something like that, where your neighborhood might not necessarily be able to handle a lot of traffic or lots of customers at once, but due to the nature of your business, you could easily operate it out of your house and not disrupt anyone. That gives people a lot of power. They don't have to rent somewhere else and drive there every day. It makes our communities a lot more what they used to be 100, 200 years ago. Those are already kind of in the works right now. Another thing I just mentioned earlier is if we can minimize our setbacks and our frontage for residents, that's another thing that's really going to increase opportunity in town, especially when combined with mixed-use overlays. Then on top of that, we already have a 40B project coming into town. We know that. We have 40R overlays that are now fresh in town. That's going to require a lot of management when that stuff starts rolling out. We're going to have a heavy role in that, making sure it's done correctly. Hopefully people in a 40B will actually work with us to make it friendly. Lastly, our historic districts, well, we don't have historic districts, Our historic neighborhoods are a huge resource in this town. We need to do a better job to protect them. And I don't mean by enforcement, I mean by putting in voluntary historic overlays where if you live there, you can opt in, and by doing historically accurate repairs and restoration, you might get a tax credit. But if you're not interested and you live in that zone, you can opt out without any penalty. That's done in Warren, Rhode Island quite successfully, by the way.
Thank you, Kevin. As a member of the Fairhaven Planning Board, how would you address any conflict of interest issues that may arise in the course of performing your duties on behalf of the town? Same question for you, Kevin.
Sure. Well, what people need to realize is that conflict of interest is not up to you, meaning the person on the board, to decide. The very appearance of conflict of interest to anyone is as good as a conflict of interest. So if that appearance could reasonably be taken by someone, you need to recuse. There are certain industries where I would find it really hard to serve on the planning board and not have that appearance of conflict of interest be constant. So it would be very difficult for me, for instance, if I worked in construction or property development, or even as a realtor, to even serve on a zoning board or a ZBA and not feel like I was constantly maybe giving that appearance. That would be very difficult. I always err on the side of recusing. I've tried to recuse twice and was told that's ridiculous, you don't have to recuse. I will continue to do that anytime that comes up. I don't really see it in my industry ever happening in town, but certainly it could arise, and I'd be first and foremost to throw myself right out of there.
Thank you. And this will go to Kevin first. What are some of the major challenges or concerns that the planning board may have to handle within the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, I did mention at least two of them in the last question. It's 40B and 40R. Those are sort of, they could be good problems to have. I'm not saying they're good or bad. Whether good or bad, it would be very challenging. The nature of those projects, they tend to be quite large. There's no way to not have an impact on your surrounding neighborhoods. That doesn't mean that an impact is bad. But people are always scared of change, even if it ends up being very positive for them. I think that especially a 40R project in our plazas could work wonders on not only the plazas themselves, but the people on the periphery of them. Returning landscaping to acres of asphalt, improving flood risk situations, removing heat sinks, removing a model for parking that is long outdated. A lot of these plazas were put in the 1950s, 1960s. People just don't shop like that anymore. But even with all that said, and we were to present a plan that said, look, we're gonna have playgrounds, walking paths, bike paths, all this livable space, green space, first floor retail stuff, these beautiful houses.
Okay, so that's a good time for me to interrupt our folks from the Fairhaven TV. Tell us that microphone seems to be switching on and off. It's a bit defective. So if you wouldn't mind borrowing from either Jennifer or Mona, sure. I think that's gonna help. And we've suspended the clock because you were kind of on a roll there, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So what I was saying, you could give someone the best proposal in the world, but change is always scary. Okay, no matter how good it is, how bad it is, whatever. So managing those changes, whether it's a 40B, a 40R, or anything else, that'll be a challenge. On top of that, we do have these great opportunities with zoning and with changing some of our bylaw requirements for setbacks and frontages that could give us a lot of economic relief. It's not going to solve the problem, folks, but it really could really help with quality of life of people. Low-hanging fruit, but still a challenge. Has to be done right.
And that is this. What does fiscal responsibility and smart growth look like in practice? And how would you ensure the town can sustainably fund infrastructure, services, and future development over the next 5 to 20 years?
Wow.
Thank you. So when people talk fiscal responsibility, they always want to talk about cutting things and being in frugality and looking for fat to trim. But to me, that's only half of fiscal responsibility. If you don't fund what you need to operate, that is not being fiscally responsible, okay? That's being incredibly fiscally irresponsible if you don't have the money to pay your bills to function. Your parents wouldn't call you responsible if you were a teenager who wasn't paying your phone bill anymore. You're fiscally irresponsible, okay? The logic that I have with this is very simple. You can't get money from people who don't have it. Who has the most money in our town? Who operates in this town? It's not people who live in this town, it's the plaza owners, okay? They live in Florida, Missouri, and Maryland. That's our three biggest plaza owners. There is something called a small commercial exemption, where if your property and your business is valued at $1 million or less and you have fewer than 10 employees, you can get a 10% discount from your taxes, and that 10% would shift over to the other property businesses who are over that threshold. That doesn't change the 2.1% tax revenue, it simply shifts the burden over. So if you do an override, you shift the burden of that override over as well. If you don't do it, you shift the burden over as well. We need to look at where the money exists. And frankly, the people who benefit the most from operating in this town don't live here. They pay the least amount in wages, next to minimum wage. The money leaves our wallets, goes to Missouri, Maryland, and Florida, and they make the most. We need to find a way for them to support this community better, because you can't get blood from a stone. And blaming the teachers, most of these teachers in town, they all have to have master's degrees, they privately tutor afterwards, and then they go wait tables to deliver pizza to make ends meet. That's the truth. I know it, I see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, we'll hear from Kevin Grant. Kevin, you have 2 minutes.
So we have some very tough questions in front of us in this town, and if I'm going to answer those questions honestly, I have to say very tough things. That's not smart politics. I understand that I might lose votes by speaking honestly to you, and that's okay. I understand I might lose elections by speaking honestly, and that's okay too. I've spent the last term putting myself in sometimes in very difficult spaces by saying difficult things. And I've often questioned myself when I've had to do that, but I don't have any regrets, and I will continue to do that. I love this town very much. I think we need to take a good hard look at what sort of town we want to have for ourselves, for our families, for our very old neighbors and friends and family, our very young friends and family. And I have great faith in some of the people running today. I have even more faith in all of you. I have a huge amount of faith in this community. And I really look forward to your voting. I hope to win. And I look forward even more to you guys getting involved and pulling papers next year, trying to get appointed to some of these boards. Thank you, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.